trying to take away my district's right to vote for me. Well, I have to tell you, their lawsuit is such a scam. It is so ridiculous. I mean, it's obvious they've never read the Constitution before. We're going to beat them, and we're going to come back. And not only are we going to be on defense right now and win, but we're coming back and we'll be going on offense.
So that is Marjorie Greene at a rally talking about the fact that there's a lawsuit attempting to stop her re-election bid. She is, of course, technically a congresswoman right now in some ways, and she would like to be reelected in 2022. But some are saying that because she provided support to the insurrection, she should be barred from doing so. And importantly, a federal judge appears to have hinted at the very least, that legal challenge will continue. I want to give you some of the details. The lawsuit was launched by Free Speech for People, representatives of which have previously appeared on the show, filed last month on behalf of Georgia voters. It argues that her re-election bid violates the 14th Amendment, which prohibits those who have, quote, engaged in insurrection or rebellion from serving in Congress. It asks Brad Raffensperger, the Georgia Secretary of State, to determine Greene's eligibility in accordance with Georgia law. Now, interestingly, for context, Raffensperger was one of the Republicans who did not seem willing to play ball with the efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election. As a result of that, he received death threats against himself and his wife. And about a year after that, he began to play ball and start to talk about his belief in the big lie and everything. So bear all of that in mind, and we'll give you some more details on Greene specifically. But Morgan, I want to go to you. This effort to stop Marjorie Greene as well as Madison Cawthorn specifically for running for re-election, what do you think about the argument that's being made here?
I kind of love this argument. I mean, I don't know so much of the legal perspective, but just, I mean, the idea that some accountability here is like these people have no reason to be serving in Congress. If you can find a legal hook for making that case, well, I applaud you. Let's get rid of them. This is ridiculous. And yeah, I mean, on Raffensperger, yeah, it's not a great time to be in the GOP, is it? Because your party has become about nothing but trying to make a mockery of our democracy. So find a new path because the GOP ain't it.
Exactly, yeah. Like he did the thing that you have to do if you want to stay in the Republican Party. You have to accept whatever it is that they threw at you. But we're talking about people who are threatening to murder him and his wife. Shouldn't that be a line that you can't cross? Just as a human, I'm not even talking about as a political being. But no, like they don't have those lines.
No, the lines are gone. I mean, this is something I'm saying all the time, and I think it makes people uncomfortable a little bit because to accept that there are no lines means that then we too need to be considering other approaches, right? It's like these are not normal times. We need to have a more aggressive stance that we're taking to not only protect our democracy, but to make sure that it's actually working for us, right? And it's not gonna happen by just continuing to wait for them to wake up and get better. They won't. They are just gonna go further and further and further down as far as they can and bring us all with them if possible.
Well, let me give you some of the details that are going to play into this trial if it does end up happening. And again, we are moving forward. The judge has hinted they will allow it, but we're going to give you the details. Evidence includes a video of Greene criticizing the peaceful transfer of presidential power ahead of the riot. The lawsuit also notes that Greene, who has described the January 6 defendants as political prisoners of war, suggested in October that the attack was justified by the Declaration of Independence. It also refers to her claim in 2019 that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will, quote, suffer death or she'll be in prison for treason. So this is all obviously disgusting, whether it rises to the level of blocking her from running for Congress. It's disgusting, nasty stuff. But bear in mind, the same group filed a similar lawsuit against, as I alluded to earlier, Representative Madison Cawthorn of North Carolina. The two lawsuits currently have had different paths. On Friday, US District Judge Amy Totenberg hinted she would allow the case against Greene to continue when she said she had significant questions and concerns about a North Carolina judge blocking the lawsuit against Cawthorn. So different cases with different judges ruling on them, and thus far different outcomes. And in particular for the North Carolina ruling, that is currently being appealed. So that is not done either. It cited a post-Civil War law that allowed some Confederates to serve in Congress. Totenberg, the Greene judge, said that the law wasn't meant to apply to future insurrectionists. So legally, if we could divorce ourselves of concerns about the actual stakes here, that this was an insurrection that resulted in people dying and it might well be a prelude to future political violence, that is an interesting legal knot that they're gonna have to pick out there, Morgan.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, this is why we have different districts, and then each district judge is able to make their interpretation of the law, and then it can continue to go up the system and reach the circuit level. And that's why, one of the good things about our system, also what we're seeing right now, is the importance of judges and these judicial appointments, at the federal level, at the district level, at the appellate level, and at the Supreme Court, like we just saw. So especially with a lot of these attacks that are happening from the GOP, with the gerrymandering, with how some of these standards are going to be applied to the behavior of sitting elected officials, it's absolutely crucial that we have people that are in these positions on the bench that are going to be guided by the law and not just what their partisan views might be.
100%, totally agree. I'm gonna briefly give Representative Marjorie Greene a chance to react. She put up a 10+ tweet thread, because remember, she's
react, but tweet.
It is by tweets. The thing is, remember when she was banned from Twitter? Sort of. Doesn't really seem like that's what happened in the end. But anyway, here we're gonna just read 9 and 10. I don't want to read all 10. So in 9, she says, the audacity of these nasty, arrogant elites looking down on the great people of Northwestern Georgia and attempting to control who Georgia 14 is allowed to vote for. Who exactly do you think you are, that you can fly into town and lie in court so you can control the names allowed on our ballots? Bear in mind, she wanted the results of the entire election of Georgia to be thrown out. Specifically just when it affected Joe Biden. The fact that she was elected in that same race, that has never struck her as a weird inconsistency. That the vote was illegitimate on the portion of the ballot that had to do with Biden, but the portion where she was elected, that wasn't illegitimate. But she'd like the votes overturned. So don't you dare try to determine who the people of Northwestern Georgia can vote for. But if they vote for someone that she doesn't approve of, she will overturn the entire thing. So there's a little bit of inconsistency there. But she concludes by saying, or at least for our purposes, concludes by saying, anyone thinking GA 14 is going to allow scumbag lawyers from New York and Mass to control who they vote for, well, bless your idiotic little hearts. She's not great at this. It's not as clever. It's mean, I'll give her that. She's good at being very mean and kind of gross on Twitter, but that's about it. The wit is somewhat lacking, Morgan.
Yeah, but they kind of know what they're doing. And I'm in Ohio. We're living through a lot of these characters. Jim Jordan, our entire state legislature, it appears, and then even the folks who present in a more professional or respectable way, like Rob Portman, the guy who's vacating the Senate seat. They're all enabling this stuff, and they're winning. So what's our counterpunch to beat them? It's like, yeah, call out the inconsistencies. I agree. Call out how they're making no sense. But then we've got to be able to pivot folks to something else, because otherwise they're going to continue to win, and we can't live like that either under this people like her having any position of power.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.